When I signed up for surfing classes about a month ago, I expected to learn how to stand up on the softboard, how to surf on the whitewater, and I guess that's where my expectations ended. I definitely did not expect to learn things about myself, to learn things that I could apply in my life. But even just those 10 classes that I took, spending slightly over 20 hours in the water, made me rethink a lot about my life. Surfing is a very complex sport that requires quite a lot of stamina, demands a lot of your body and your mind. And this is why today I really wanted to share with you some things that I learned as a beginner surfer on more of a philosophical level. One of the very first things that I learned is that there are no two exact same waves, and there are no two exact same surfing spots. And even the same surfing spot can be very different depending on the tide, the time of the day, the weather conditions, the season. So you learn to observe the environment, to see the patterns, the rules, and to observe the interplay of different factors. And you learn to know what's the difference between high tide, low tide, when to look out for shallow water with rock bottom. You observe where the waves break, and so on and so forth. So, to put it simply, you learn to observe and adjust. And similarly in life, the only constant thing is change. And you will never be given this perfect textbook situation with an instruction on what to do. But even if you cannot control the environment, you can learn about it, you can observe it, and you can choose how you react to it. So one of my first surfing reflections was that rather than worry about what is coming in life and try and predict and control things that I can't even predict and control anyway, I should observe mindfully and try and pick the best response that I can. And I think both in surfing and in life, making the correct decision and picking the best course of action is more than just being present in the moment and being mindful, although that is very important. To make the right choice, you also need the knowledge of the environment, the skills, the physical and mental preparation. And that made me realize that in my life I spent way too much time worrying about everything and trying to predict and control things that I couldn't control anyway, where in fact it would have been a lot more productive to spend this time building my skill set, deepening my knowledge, and building myself up to be ready when the right moment comes. I don't know about you, but to me, part of the appeal of surfing was that it looks so effortless. People just standing up gracefully on the boards and sliding through the waves, as if anyone could do it. But then once I tried surfing, I realized it is definitely not an easy thing to do. And for instance, I have no idea how long it will take me to actually surf on a hardboard. I think part of the reason why surfing is so complex is because, as I mentioned, you need this good understanding of the conditions, the environment, the waves, the sea, but you also need incredibly good physical preparation and awareness of your own body. So the mind-muscle connection. And one thing that I learned very fast is that you need to be present and focused all the time. 1 minute of being idle or distracted and you could cause an accident. In one of my first classes, I was very happy and relaxed after surfing my first wave, and actually being very close to the shore, I tripped on a wave and got hit on the rocks, which thankfully just landed me a couple of bruises. So there is no room to be distracted in surfing. You really need to be present and be in the moment. And I think this is what makes it such a great sport for me, because there is no space for me to think about the things I would normally think about, to worry about work or other things. I can only think about surfing when I'm doing this. There is a great book on surfing and mindfulness by Sam Bleakley, who's a British surfer, writer and filmmaker. In the book, he describes surfing as a form of mindfulness. He said one great thing in one of his interviews that I really wanted to share with you. If you define mindfulness and meditation as being in the present, then surfing was my primary introduction to mindfulness. Surfing is a powerful way to be in the present and engage intimately with not just the internal mind, but, and for me equally important, the external environment. I believe that mindfulness in surfing is, paradoxically, and moving out of mind into the world, moving against the grain of inner directed thought and reflection into an acute sense of what the environment demands of us. For example, as a surfer, where winds, currents, beat shapes, wave types, and lunar tidal movements meet. In this sense, we move from ecology to ecology, and we generate and embody mindfulness, locating ourselves in place and space. In a way, I find it that mindfulness in surfing is a lot easier to me than meditation, for instance, because you are simply forced not to think of other things. And if you do, you could get hit by a wave, get hit by your own board or somebody else's board. Jokes aside, just try it. It will make you less anxious, less distracted, and more focused. As a beginner surfer, still one of the hardest things for me is reading the waves and understanding them. And very often I have those situations where I'm looking at small waves and I'm like, too small. And then someone else, a lot more skilled, comes in and waves the wave just beautifully. And very often we also have those moments where we're all sitting on our boards, waiting for the waves, and the water is still and the time passes. And very often I was at a point where I felt like, okay, I'm going out because nothing's going to happen. And then this amazing set of waves came in and everyone was super happy. And it made me think of how often in life I had similar situations. Situations of absolute stalemate when I felt like nothing is going right and nothing good would happen to me for a very long time. And I was about to give up and quit, trying to do what I was trying to do. And then suddenly things turned around. So don't give up, your wave is coming for sure. Looking from the shore as a bystander, surfing looked like a highly individualistic sport to me. You grab your board and you go into the water and surf. And I thought that I'm going to take a couple of classes and then I'll be surfing on my own. But actually I think that the richness and complexity of the sport makes it very hard to learn it on your own from scratch. And learning in a group and with other people and gaining some insights from the local people, for instance, who know the sport very well, makes it a lot more efficient and also a lot more pleasurable. Also, what I think makes surfing different from sports such as windsurfing or kitesurfing is that we usually surf in one spot. We make up one lineup, so there is a lot of scope for interaction. And I remember this one day when we were surfing and I got a lot of insights from my own instructor and my own group, but also other surfers just passing by gave me tips, which felt really incredible. It felt like everyone around me really cares about how well I do, which was pretty incredible. In surfing, as in life, I think you progress a lot faster if you surround yourself with more experience and kind people. We can only do so much alone. Having a community is important, having a good mentor is important, in life and in surfing. Another thing that I learned very fast at the beginning was that you will likely fall and you will likely look very silly at times. For instance, my nickname in the surfing school was Ninja because of my bizarre surfing stance. And again, both in surfing and in life, you shouldn't get discouraged and you should keep trying. Be prepared when doing new things to maybe sag for a little while. It will get better, I promise you. There's also a great book on surfing by William Finnegan from The New Yorker called Barbarian Days. If you find surfing fascinating, I could not recommend it more. One of the things that he mentions in the book is how surfing requires you to relinquish your perfectionism. There is no such thing as a perfect wave, and you often have less than perfect conditions, but you have to push through it. And to me, as a perfectionist, it was really embarrassing to be learning how to surf among people who were really, really great. And often I heard this voice in my head telling me to go back to the beach and maybe do something that I'm actually good at. But I think once I dropped this desire to be in a certain way and this desire to be perfect, and I just started enjoying the process, it was the best experience ever. I feel like perfectionism can be a true roadblocker in life and in surfing because it stops you from doing things that you actually want to do because of your own doubts and inhibitions. And it would be such a shame to live a less rich and interesting life just because you're scared of the beginner's phase and making mistakes. So go out there, try new things, experiment, look silly, and have fun with it. My surfing journey so far is a short one, but I hope to carry it on for as long as I can. And I would not say that I'm natural or gifted. It actually takes me a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy. But I think this is actually why I appreciate it even more, because I think most worthwhile things in life do require time and energy and effort. Joan Kabat-Zinn, one of the best mindfulness teachers in the world, said that you cannot stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. So I hope that whatever comes your way, you find the strength and peace of mind to face it. Now go catch some waves.